Hi, it's Chantel here from Fiberific. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about big needles and big crochet hooks and the whole big knitting thing that's going on. Now, those of you that know me know it's not really my thing. I live in Brisbane, which is technically subtropical, so I have really no need for these massive, thick jumpers and neck warmers and those really enormous fibre blankets that are coming out in the designer magazines. In Brisbane, we probably need a jumper or a sweater or whatever we're called. I don't even know what's being called these days. Probably maybe a week during winter where a long sleeve t-shirt is not warm enough. I have never really gotten into the whole big needles and big yarn thing. The thickest yarn I tend to use is an 8-ply or a DK. I don't even tend to spin any thicker than that. I've done a couple of things just to see if I like it. And one of the things is I like to be able to see if I can do stuff. I may or may not use it, but I want to know if I can do it. Like many years ago, I needed to crochet a doily to prove I could do a doily. I made it in Fire Engine Red because it was a doily and I didn't think I would ever use it. And I'm right, I'm not even sure where it is, to be honest. But I wanted to prove to myself that, you know what, I could do a doily. And that's where a lot of my drive to learn so many different things comes from. It comes from my personal need to know if I can actually do it or if it's just something I don't like. Because there is a difference between being able to do something, being able to create it, and then not actually liking it or enjoying it. Now, I don't need the big needle craze with the warm blankets because of where I live. But I also wanted to be able to prove that I could do it. And that way, it's not even just that. It's so if someone asks me a question, I don't go, oh, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's so I can go, well, I've tried it this way, and to see how it went. So this weekend I was feeling a little under the weather. I had plans to go to Supernova and I couldn't go because I was feeling icky. So today is powered by coffee, strepsils and cold and flu tablets. So I, might go a little chirpy or crazy. Flu tablets and me aren't always the best mix. So this weekend I wanted to go to Supernova and I couldn't. So I sort of spent the weekend slobbing about at home, not really doing much of anything. And on Saturday night, I was sitting in my room trying to decide, did I want to go to sleep or did I want to watch a movie? And you know what it's like when you're sick and you just can't decide anything. Every single decision is too hard. So what I decided to do was pop on a movie. So I'd gotten Star Trek Beyond on Blu-ray this week. So I popped that on and I grabbed some knitting and what I was working on was really fine. And I was like, I can't deal with this. And then I was like, I've just gotten in this massive order of huge hooks and needles. So I'm going to grab some here. 12.75 millimeter needles in a metal circular. In straights. Check out this. This is a Tunisian hook. So I will get some better photos. But yeah, so I got all this really big stuff. Up to, I think, in the bamboo needles, I got some, I grabbed some size 50 or 25 millimeter needles. So just to, have a go, see how they went. Anyway, so I had these needles and I was like, what can I make? I just want to have a go. And obviously there's not a lot of patterns out there for that sort of size thing. And so I just decided, I grabbed a stitch dictionary with some lace and I made this. This little top, it is a ladies size 10 and it took 100 grams and I'm not kidding. It is 2 rectangles with some judicious stitching. So I just stitched here and here to create seams. Now, I just made it for the sake of making it, but it seems that my daughter wants it. So I have to adjust some armhole sizes so it fits her a bit better. But I'm not kidding. It was literally the 12.75 millimeter needles, 8-ply yarn, and I've got one of the Reader's Digest stitch, the big Reader's Digest craft book things. I grabbed it at one of those book fair things for like $3. I will put in the lace stitch pattern that I used. I just wanted to show that while the whole big yarn thing is around, it's definitely a fashion thing that's going on both in home decor and also in clothing. And sometimes you think, do I want to buy these tools for this one thing? And I personally don't like to buy tools for one thing. I like everything to have like multiple purposes or multiple uses, or for me to be able to see down the track that I'm going to use it for something else. I really feel funny about buying. That's why I buy interchangeables normally, because I may not use those tips for many things, but I'll use the cables for everything. It's a personal thing. We all have a defined amount of money that we can spend upon things that aren't life's necessities, and whether that's more or less doesn't matter. It is a defined amount. And I don't know about you, but I just don't like to buy a tool for one job. And so I wanted to see if these tools could do something that I would be interested in. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be measuring this out to work out how to make one for myself, because I wear a lot of singlets around the house and things like that, and I like to pull on something over the top when I'm off to do school run or hit the grocery store or something like that. And this would be perfect. I would feel like well and truly covered enough. So I had a really good time making it. It was not difficult. Using the big thick needles did take some adjusting to, just because I have 10-year-old hands. Like, my daughter thinks it's hilarious. She's 11 and her hands are now the same size as mine. They have been for a while. That's why I call them 10-year-old hands. But her hands are the same size as mine, and she just thinks it's the funniest thing ever. So, you know, I've got these small hands, these short arms. And so using these big needles, I mean, the needles are nearly the same thickness as my thumb. And I'm not used to them. So, and Chiaogoo also have a much thicker cable on their bigger needles, so that it doesn't have to taper down quite so far. It still tapers pretty hard, but it doesn't have to taper down to the same size thickness that they use for, say, a 4mm instead of these 12.75s. So it's really a thick cable. And so, yeah, it did take some adjusting to. Also, I found them to be just, when you knitted, they would just seem to be a bit noisier than what I'm used to, because they're hollow and they're really light. But I did find them to be a little bit noisier than I was used to, which, I mean, seriously, I made this in 3 hours. So if you can knock out a top in 3 hours, you can put up with a little bit of noise. And I'm sure if I had have just been using the bamboo straights, which I could have absolutely used, they wouldn't have made the noise. I found that I will be adding these bigger needles to my collection because I will use them, which surprised me. I honestly thought it would be a one and done scenario. I really thought, oh yeah, I'll have a go. I'll see what I can make with 100 grams and put it aside. But I've got all these ideas of things I want to do. Like, seriously, can you imagine some rectangles of this over the top of like some skirt lining or something like that? And or even making it into a full-length tunic to wear over the top of your swimmers or something like that. There's so many things that you can do with just a couple of rectangles. We're just limited by our imaginations in this whole industry. I personally prefer a written pattern where someone tells me exactly what to do. I don't tend to go off on my own very often, but this was so easy, and because there's so much drape, it does shape itself. And I was just really happy with how it came out. And I'm really looking forward to having another go. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It's time for you to fill your universe with Fiber Fun.